Despite the fact that it is bigger than both Europe and Australia, almost no one still lives on Antarctica. Hardy fauna and the sporadic scientists live on this unknown land. But despite the fact that most of the area is still absolutely mysterious, science is advancing and we are gradually discovering more about this frozen continent. Today, we're looking at interesting Antarctica-related information. Although ice and volcanoes aren't typically associated, Antarctica is home to many of each. In actuality, Antarctica is home to the planet's greatest volcanic zone. At least 91 different volcanoes can be found there, the majority of which are deep, but there is a massive ice sheet there as well, with the tallest being the Eiger in Switzerland, which is nearly 4,000 meters high. Despite the fact that Antarctica has not had an eruption in more than 2,000 years, some experts believe the continent is due. It is challenging to measure volcanoes' heat and smoke using conventional methods in sources buried far below the surface of Antarctica. This range's activity and the ice could have unsettling repercussions. If one of these volcanoes erupted, the situation might become even more unstable. Antarctica's West Robert Bingham, a glacier expert, was aware of the numerous volcanoes that protruded above the surface due to ice sheets. The most active volcano is Mount Erebus, which is situated on Ross Island and rises to a height of almost 12,000 feet above sea level. Mount Erebus shares Ross Island with three other dormant volcanoes, Mount Terror Mount, Mount Bird, and Mount Terra Nova. The volcano appears to be a frozen wasteland but has been active for roughly 1.3 million years. In reality, Antarctica has a wealth of natural resources. The majority of the continent is covered in thick ice, making exploration challenging, but the resources are still there. For instance, Antarctica is home to 70% of the world's freshwater reserves and 90% of the world's freshwater ice. To put that into perspective, the Earth's oceans would currently rise by a staggering 16 feet if just one ice sheet were to melt. Instead of being a center for economic endeavors, Antarctica is mostly used for scientific study. However, it is thought to hold significant mineral resources based on recent exploration. Some people think that Antarctica has significant petroleum reserves in addition to copper. However, nobody has provided proof of this. No commercial mining is permitted in Antarctica as a result of the 1959 Antarctic Treaty. The fact that no one previously owned Antarctica and opening the region to commercial endeavors would lead to a land grab and possibly even a proxy war among the many nations of the world made this a fortunate decision because the continent is home to numerous unique species that would suffer from large-scale industry. Would you think that Antarctica formerly had a tropical climate? Over the course of the planet's long history, many places have seen cataclysmic changes. For example, ocean floors frequently turn into deserts, and the opposite is also true. According to Professor Jane Francis of Leeds University School of Earth and Environment, the South Pole was actually a lush, lovely area for the majority of the past 100 million years before it turned into a tropical paradise. There are many furry mammals there, such as possums and beavers, and the climate was tropical until quite recently, when it became extremely frigid. The study also highlighted the stark disparity between Antarctica's present-day climate and its historical climate, and the degree of global warming during times with high atmospheric carbon dioxide levels. The Earth had its warmest period in the last 70 million years between 55 and 48 million years ago. This is particularly significant since it indicates that the ice has trapped atmospheric carbon dioxide. From this point on, when the ice melts, carbon dioxide is released, creating a feedback loop that, if left unchecked, will cause a significant climatic change with catastrophic effects. In the near future, it's possible that an Arctic axe will resurface in a tropical region. Amazingly, none of the 11 babies that were born on Antarctica as newborns perished. As a result, with 0%, Antarctica has the lowest infant mortality rate of any continent. Emilio Marcos Palma, the first person to be born on the continent, was born on January 7, 1978, at the Argentine Army's Esperanza outpost near the point of the Antarctic Peninsula. His birth was not an accident, though. At the time, Argentina, Chile, and Britain were vying for control of the frozen island. The dictator of Chile, Augusto Pinochet, airlifted a pregnant Chilean woman across the desolate landscape so that she could give birth to a Chilean child on an Arctic soil, because one way for a government to demonstrate its commitment in a certain aura of authority was to populate the land with native-born citizens. The joke that followed seemed to be that Chileans were sending newlyweds to their own Antarctic base to claim the first child both conceived and born in the region. The only nation still maintaining non-scientific settlements on the South Pole is Chile. 2 full-time military outposts with populations in the low hundreds are located in the Latin American nation. Although most of the continent is covered in snow, there are areas of Antarctica that have earned the title of the driest place on Earth. One such area is known as the Dry Valleys, and although there are technically some small water features, there hasn't been any net gain or loss of water in over 2 million years. The dry valleys cover an area of 4,800 square kilometers and are almost completely devoid of water, ice, or snow. The geography and environment on Mars are similar, so NASA has been able to conduct tests there. This made it the ideal location to test Viking's capability on steep slopes, but it is nothing compared to the Freeze Hills, which haven't seen water in 14 million years. The Atacama Desert in Chile and Peru is the second driest spot on Earth. Because there are no blazers to provide water to this region, very little life can exist there. Some weather stations in this area show no rain for years, while others have an average of 1 millimeter of rain per year. Scientists from Sweden discovered the world's oldest sperm inside a petrified cocoon in Antarctica. Scientists have hailed as astonishing the discovery of petrified sperm located inside the walls of a heated cocoon that is 50 million years old. The specimen is the oldest animal sperm ever discovered, according to research that was published by the Royal Society in 2015. The prehistoric sex cells, which date back 50 million years, are found in a group of earthworms and leeches called Nalata. When the first horses, rhinos, and sheep appeared in the early Eocene, the fossil was able to form and endure for so long because the sperm got stuck in the jelly-like wall of the cocoon before it formed. The organism was subsequently fossilized and preserved over millions of years in a way similar to how bugs become stuck in amber. Due to their fragility and transience, spermatozoa are rarely retained in fossils, according to the study's primary author. The cocoon is assumed to have been created by the ancient worm during mating. The egg and sperm would then be placed into the cocoon and protected by the surrounding material. When the cocoon was completely shut, it would take many hours for the surrounding material to harden. According to researchers, this is how the sperm fossil formed and was able to endure for millions of years. Since Antarctica is the closest place we can get to studying Mars without actually traveling to the Red Planet, scientists are eager to understand the lake's mysterious origins. In Antarctica, there is a lake that is so salty that it is impervious to freezing and remains liquid throughout the harsh Arctic winters. The body of water, known as Dunhuan Pond, nearly never freezes because of its extraordinarily high salinity, which is strange considering that the area frequently drops below 100 degrees Celsius and has a salinity level of 33.8%. Considering that Dunhuan Pond is the second most salty body of water in the world after the Guitar Pond in the Ethiopian desert, understanding the origins of the pond is crucial not only for. In addition to the pond, the area has dark surface streaks suggestive of the presence of the water. These streaks are similar to those found on Mars, a suggestion of water on the Red Planet, and as any science fiction film has taught us, where there is water, there is life. This could increase our knowledge of extraterrestrial landscapes. Despite being famously inhospitable, the South Pole hosted at least one budding relationship in 2014. In order to kill time, an American scientist working at McMurdo Station decided to download the dating app Tinder. He had tried it before with mixed results and thought it would be interesting to find a date in the frozen tundra of the South Pole. At first, no profiles appeared, but when he increased the app's location radius, he discovered another researcher working at a deep field camp 45 minutes by helicopter from the base station. He swiped right to indicate his interest. The scientist was worried that the authorities would take away his internet access if it was discovered that he was using valuable brown to hunt for hookups, so he wanted to remain unnamed. She discovered me on Tinder while she was actually camping in Antarctica. It's astounding. When a news organization contacted the researcher 3 years later, he said he hadn't broken the record for the first hookup in Antarctica but that he wanted to run into the female researcher again. Near McMurdo Station, there is a small waterfall known as Bloodfalls that has a very striking and menacing aspect. The bright red color of this eerie waterfall has led researchers to believe for years that it is composed of human blood. However, in recent years, they have been able to explain this strange phenomenon by using imaging from beneath the glacier to help solve the mystery. This revealed a complex network of subglacial rivers and a subglacial lake that are all filled with brine high in iron, giving the falls their reddish tint. The research team estimates that this waterfall has been haunted for years. The Ross Ice Shelf, which is the largest ice shelf in Antarctica and has a thickness of several hundred meters, has an estimated surface area of about 182,000 square miles, or nearly the same size as France. The shelf has been a crucial entry point for investigations into the interior of Antarctica, including those conducted by many of the most well-known expeditions, as the term ghost suggests. Despite rising 50 meters above the water's surface, the Ross Ice Shelf's visible portion is merely the tip of the iceberg. The great majority is submerged beneath the waves of the ocean when the rest of Antarctica melts. It is a frequent myth that the Ross Ice Shelf, which is gradually melting into the ocean, causes rising tides. However, the ice shelves greatly slow the flow of glaciers on the continent that would otherwise slide faster into the ocean, causing water levels to rise. If it continues at its current rate, the Ross Ice Shelf could cause water levels to rise by as much as 38 feet. Melting these ice shelves has no direct effect on global sea levels because the ice is already at equilibrium with the surrounding water. Thank you for watching, and remember to press the buttons.